All right, so we're going to follow. That was a great conversation. Obviously, we're going to follow up with the perspective from some of our sponsors, not only as far as AI, how AI is impacting you guys and your product development, but also your customers, because obviously everyone here can see the potential for AI, but unless you all offer the tools that can enable the industry to use AI, it's kind of just a wish list thing. So Ross, I want to start with you. Obviously, you heard the shout out with WSC and the NBA, but give us a sense of what AI means to WSC Sports, and then an example of a customer in action.
There's two facets to AI when it comes to our platform. The first is on the ingestion or the input of the content that we're taking in from our partners. And we're using AI to effectively curate the content, to find the optimum in and out points for each key moment within a game, but then also to attach all the associated metadata to that as well. Okay, so that's on the input. On the output, we've then used an AI model to create a logic or containers with different types of highlights. Okay, and it's all prescriptive by different sports. Okay, and on the back of that, we can then create an exponential amount more content. We can create different highlights by different segments of fan, be it by demographic, territory, any other types you can think of. And then also we can do personalized content as well when we start integrating with CRMs and the likes on that front. So hopefully that gives you a high-level insight into what we're doing with AI.
Sure, and then a customer story?
So customer story, I mean, just to piggyback on what Matt said there about the NBA, they are literally creating thousands of videos per game night from our platform. Just to give you an example, 5-minute highlights, they'll be creating 15 different versions of it. That's no exaggeration. Different aspect ratios, different languages, different graphics packages, different commercial partners, topping and tailing for different territories. So that gives you a bit of an idea of just the volume and the scale of content that some of our partners are creating on the back of our platform.
Excellent. And I will say, as an NBA fan, that my X feed, or whatever you want to call it, is swimming in NBA highlights all day long, every day. So I guess there's a cause and effect there. So Ali, the Sponix Tech, kind of a new name for some of the people in the industry in this audience. So give us a sense of what AI means to Sponix Tech, and then also a customer.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. Sponix Tech has a couple of products, but the main one is virtual advertising, which is essentially we're the ones who do and get fully remote with no hardware or camera installations in the stadiums or venues. So with the help of AI, we have managed to eliminate the cost of double production. There's no human or engineers or technicians in the stadium. There's no hardware installation, no OB-van, no nothing. We just use the PGM feed, and we do our magic, and digital overlay will be implemented on the billboards and then 3D carpet, and it will be distributed to different satellites. So regarding the example that you asked, I would say with the help of AI, and the title of this presentation to be AI for Good, is that we are currently able to serve underserved small, medium-sized federations, clubs, agencies, and so on. The reason for that is because we are currently now working with some federations in Africa, Middle East, South America, that their infrastructure is very low. So whether it's internet, whether it's the stadium, whether it's the camera, whether it's the input, output, there is just so much limitation within it. Whereas our AI has managed to bring a solution to that particular problem. So with AI, we managed to bring so much added revenue for these clients and get over the limitations that they had beforehand, and kind of make the most out of their inventories.
Excellent. So more democratization via AI technology. So Imogen, as far as Newsbridge, I'm assuming that this technology is very important to opening up new business models to you guys. So first, how is your team addressing AI within the product and the services that you guys offer?
So Newsbridge is a media management solution which uses our own AI patented technology called MXT1. And MXT1 creates a human-like description of content on a shot-by-shot and on a media summary level to ensure better discoverability of content. And the reason why that is for the good is that means editorial teams can publish their content much more quickly, and it also enables sponsors and athletes to find the pieces within the media library a lot more quickly and easily as well. So you're ensuring better fan engagement, and you're ensuring a better variety of content that can be produced and pushed out there as well. Sorry, did you ask me about
and then as far as a client, I only asked you one question. I didn't ask you two. Yeah. So yeah, and a customer also.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to discuss LNR, as it's rugby season, the Ligue Nationale de Rugby, which is one of our French customers. And they came to us a little while ago. Their MAM was actually going defunct, and that was a very, very scary thought for them and their editorial teams, because that's their whole legacy that they have to move, and it's their whole legacy that's going to be put at risk, as well as the live content that needs to come in as well. So they came to us with 400 terabytes of archive and 300 active users. And not only did we manage to set them up with a new media hub, we also managed to improve their existing workflows by using our AI to automatically log content as it came in from the live matches. So not to be too arrogant about it, but what was actually a very, very scary thing actually turned out to be a bit of a blessing in disguise for them and for us, because we love working with them.
Right. I always wonder, if just personally for myself, with my own photo library, I've kind of thought maybe if just wait a few more years that it'll automatically sort my library so I don't have to do all the metadata tagging. So I'm kind of pushing off that project, hoping that someone's going to come up with a solution. I'm sure that a lot of video people are the same thing.
Oh, 100%. And if you ever want to be a very, very small customer, we can talk later.
Thank you. Oh, I lost half my photos in iCloud, but that's a whole other story. Alain from Chyron, obviously you guys have been using, if you go all the way back to like the central casting and newscasting, pushing data through graphics, that is AI on some level. So you guys have been doing this for probably 20 to 30 years. But how is AI impacting Chyron today?
So what I really found interesting is when I first looked at the title, AI for Good, and maybe kind of following up on some discussion before, AI could be, and the reason why we use AI is not because we love technology. Obviously, we do love technology, but that's not for the sake of it. We don't use AI to help our customers get rid of their staff. We're not even doing it for increase or valorization. I think so. Starting with why we're not using AI, I think the AI is a fabulous tool, and some have already said is, can we provide our customers, broadcasters, stadiums, different people in the sports industry with a tool that helps them tell a better story, a more compelling, a more engaging stories to their audience, to their viewers, to their fans. That's the core of the reason why we're doing it and why we invested in our core R&D center in Brno to develop some tools. Now to the specific examples of why, not at a philosophical level, but at a practical level. So we have something called Chyron Live, which is a cloud-based production system, and it allows people to make remote production, on-site production, and we use AI here as a support to create, so we follow actions and we see some goals and different actions on the football field, and we automatically generate some clips that allow us to do automatic replays. Replay by such, obviously it removes the necessity of picking up and marking in point and out points. But the clever bit, it frees up time and accelerates the process to do telestreaming. So you can put arrows and things like this in real time because you're freed up from it as a job without having an extra resource doing it. So that's one use case. At another scale, our subsidiary called TrackApp is very heavily in sports, and MLS in the sport in Sky Germany, some usage with La Liga. We're using here very elaborated 3D modeling to follow the players as well as the ball, even if you don't see the ball. I mean, there are some actions where even if you follow the jerseys or you follow the action, you don't see the person or you don't see the ball because it's hidden by something else. And that's where AI comes really, really handy, because it allows you to do some prediction and still keeps that accuracy which is required to get meaningful data out of it. So these are two kind of fundamental use cases where the use of AI for good means helping people tell better stories.
Sure. So as far as, I mean, obviously the theme from the first session today to now for this whole event has been the future is about a personalized, gamified, engaged experience, which is much more than simply saying, let's put out 30 cameras and cover the match. So Ross, from your perspective, and so when we look to this future, I mean, is it even possible to do what people want to do without AI? So for example, without AI, this future would be impossible because you just couldn't have enough people to man all those NBA games and cut 30,000 clips a day or whatever it is?
Correct. But I'd like to also just touch upon what we're looking on in the future when it comes to the AI. So we've been sort of regarded as pioneers when it comes to automating the video, but that's normally using existing feeds that we have that are coming in with different languages, etc. What we're looking into now, and we're going live with some big high-profile American sports, is actually using different language models to actually automate and use AI to create new commentary and text that accompanies these clips as well, which is really interesting. So now we're looking at, okay, so if we put out a 10-minute highlight of a game, and it's for a younger audience, it can be with their favorite TV presenter, for instance. Or if that same highlight is going out in Brazil, they'll have the local language there. So it is creating a whole raft of new opportunities in that regard. And I think without that AI, then it's arguably impossible to deliver on.
Right. Now, do you see, so obviously in that scenario, do you think there's going to be more people hired to monitor those feeds to make sure that the kid-friendly feed, for example, does not go a little wayward, so to speak?
Well, you take the NBA, since we've been working with them, their media department has grown by it's almost 150%. Okay, so now they've got 40 additional people in that team, because it's great creating this like fire hose worth of content, but someone's got to manage it, someone's got to strategize, make sure it's going in the right places. And ultimately, with AI and automation, occasionally there will be something missing in the highlights. That if you create a 12-minute highlights, each person in this room, they all have their own idea of what should go into it. Now, 90% will be the same, okay? So we're still taking a lot of that heavy lifting, and we're still creating a lot of time-saving exercises in there by using AI. So yes, I think arguably more people will be needed to actually service the additional content.
Right, great. And Ali, I guess from your perspective, opening up, democratizing video to teams and arenas and stadiums that previously did not have video, again, that puts them on the map as far as, I guess, digital services and personalization, because without that, they're not even getting started.
Exactly. So essentially the idea is that they can maximize their inventories, right? So let's say you have in a match maybe for a very, very small, medium-sized federation friendly match, or qualifying for World Cup, they had, for example, 5 sponsors, whereas right now we could add 6 3D carpets on each side, so 12 3D carpets, and we could make all that LED dynamic, which was a very static printed billboard. We turned it into dynamic billboards with animations, with turn around different ads for targeted messaging in different regions. So essentially they tripled their revenue for one single match by not doing the double production, but instead doing digital overlay. So essentially what we are doing is we're giving them wings and allowing them to maximize their inventories within different targets and different segments and markets of different regions, essentially.
Great, excellent. So Imogen, from your perspective, when you're talking, since you do sales, when you're talking to customers, are they talking to you about how to improve their digital offerings and increase their personalization? How does that come up in conversations? What are sort of their big questions that they have when they kind of want to find out about that area?
Yeah, so I think for them, they like to understand the statistics a little bit about what Newsbridge can help them achieve. And I think what people often don't quite realize is how long it takes to log 1 hour of media manually. So it's roughly estimated that to manually log 1 hour of media, it takes about 8 hours of manual input. And when you're looking at the kind of volumes that sports organizations are producing fresh today, and even on their existing archive, which is going to have a very mixed bag of metadata logging, it's just not feasible to completely achieve that with manual logging. And by not having a fully logged metadata scheme within your library, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. An editorial team, roughly, when they're building a story, 80% of their time spent building that story is actually just finding the right media files. And that's the media files that they know about. So many sports organizations have these phenomenal archives that have really, really, really valuable content within them that they just don't know exist. So by having a well-sorted media library, which has full discoverability, you are able to produce more meaningful content and really engage those fans. And at the rate that we're looking at today, the only way that you can really achieve that is to use AI to help, use a smartly thought out media library system, and also to have an editorial team who's really passionate and wants to tell those stories.
Yeah, that's great. So Alain, from your perspective, I mean, it's obviously, again, are you seeing the same thing as far as Chyron in the cloud, that this is going to open up, again, more personalization of broadcast feeds and what have you?
I think, and I often have an MBA view to things. it's always good, and I love the statistics from Caretta from earlier on, and many of the things you see where we're investing in some areas of AI which actually don't have a real use case behind it. I prefer to start, so what's the problem? The problem is we have to produce more content than ever before, and we've got less and less resources. That's a problem we all jointly need to address. So it's not about doing a cool, fun demonstration at a trade show. It is about solving these issues. Now, it's all about automation. As you say, it's saving these scarce resources and helps them do the things that bring value to the viewers. If it's personalized or not is not the more relevant part. The relevant part is giving these people this limited amount of resources, the best tools to give, allows them to tell a better story faster in a more automated way. I think that is the AI really for good. That's what we're all trying to achieve. Everything else is more like a show effect. And by the way, on your archive thing, just little thing, it's not politically correct at all, but I was on a conference many years ago on archiving how to do this. And someone called it the Monica Lewinsky effect. When the scandal came up, thousands of people in archives looking down for that footage, and pretty much they found that one, like, 30 seconds sequence by manually viewing thousands and thousands of hours of content. Imagine these people would have had AI and be able to valorize and tag all that archive.
Right.
And also, it's a very boring job. Let's be honest, no one's going to want to sit there and watch hours and hours and hours of the same content that's all roughly the same. You want your researchers to really, really be engaged in what they're doing and to find those media files so much more quickly, and they'll be happier. And also, the sponsors will be happier too, because more and more content can be pushed out and you're raising the profiles of your athletes. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. Well, Ross, what do you think as far as jobs, the shifting of jobs, going away from manual, laborious tasks, if you will?
Just to piggyback on that, I completely agree. Even creating highlights is quite a cumbersome, monotonous role to do, going through a feed or an archive and putting in ins and outs. If you can automate that, then it frees up that personnel and that team to concentrate on content that does need that creative input. So you think of the documentaries and other shoulder content out there now, and the behind-the-scenes stuff is fantastic, and there's a plethora of out there now. But so we would sort of take on the regular hamster wheel highlights, if you like, and then the other stuff. The teams can focus on the creative.
So I guess here's a bonus question. So we have about, 2 minutes left? 3 minutes left? So obviously this topic's going to become more important for the industry, right? It'll be a bigger part of trade shows. And I guess one of the questions I have is, the next challenge is how do you, whose AI is smarter kind of situation, right? So you go to visit 5 booths to discuss their AI solutions, but are they all going to be equally smart? Are some going to have smarter solutions? How do you kind of see this role of the AI, I guess the AI battle of supremacy developing?
Well, as I mentioned at the top, for us, each sport has its own prescriptive AI, okay, in terms of the logic we apply to the highlights and the different containers. So the way we understand, we build highlights for football differs from cricket or basketball. There's different types of actions, different cadence, and etc. So it's a matter of a bit of time in terms of machine learning and ingesting as much of that content through our platform as possible, but then also getting as much feedback from our partners as well and understanding just what is the sweet spot when it comes to creating those highlights. So that's our sort of position on it.
Gotcha. Ali, what's your take?
I think when it comes to business side of AI, it's so important to see what are the real problems and how practical is your AI solution, right? So essentially, we did a lot of reverse engineering to see, okay, virtual advertising has been there for a couple of years. How come it hasn't been that much used, and what was the limitations behind it? So we came up to see there were so much challenges with the legal aspect. There were some challenges with the broadcasters. So essentially, we tried to bring our technology towards solving practical problems, especially with the broadcasters. For instance, we realized there was so much hassle and headache for the production team to get in touch with the virtual advertising companies to fix the feed, and there was just so much communication, where what we are doing is, with no access to the ISO camera and PGM feed only, we basically do the digital overlay. Gotcha. So it's practicality again.
Sure, excellent. Imogen, as far as the AI battles?
Yeah, so I think the smartest vendor is one that knows that there is an AI bias problem and is working with you to try and reduce that. I think as well, an AI vendor that's truly smart will work with their customers and also maintain their privacy, and that's something that's very, very important. AI is dynamic. to its core, and the smartest AI vendor will be working with you to ensure that you're getting the best possible results, and that will also maintain your privacy of your data set within that as well. And I think that's something that people need to be prepared for and be prepared to ask as well. Ask with transparency when you're speaking with your AI vendor.
Sure. Alain, last word to you.
So the interesting part here is there are different segments in the market. Some people can afford it, and we can train. I mean, soccer is a perfect example where you can invest a lot of money. The real challenge for us is, can we take some of these elements that have been developed for these very high-end sports? I wouldn't say when money no issue, but still we can afford it, and bring it down and make it available to other kind of sports. Maybe not with the same level of accuracy, but still take the learnings from the premium sports and make it available for lower tiers, because that's where the talent scarcity and a lot of people, I mean, sometimes in the lowest tiers of sports, you have students, you don't have qualified personnel. And using AI, taking these learnings from the bigger sports and make it available for lower leagues and sport, where there's not so much resources, that I think for us is really the interesting battle we want to fight in the coming weeks and months.
Sure, exactly. The rising tide lifts all boats, right, so to speak. So excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.